Hey there, this is the Dark Yogi, and welcome to this episode of Kisma and the Dark Yogi. Today's topic is perception. Perception is everything.
Hello, this is Kisma, and welcome to Kisma and the Dark Yogi, brought to you by SourceMovement.com. We're here for people who want to be radically authentic and courageously vulnerable. So whether you're a yoga teacher, entrepreneur, or leader building a tribe, we're here to get your energy and mindset positioned for success. No more stress, no more lack of energy. It's time to lead with your full potential. Our intention is to leave the world a better place than we found it and inspire you to do the same. So hey, if this message and our podcast resonates with you and you've not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to Kisma and the Dark Yogi on iTunes. And while you're at it, give us a rating and let us know what you think. If you have someone in your life that would enjoy this conversation, share it with them. Want more information about the movement? Just go to SourceMovement.com. So let's get started, and I hope you enjoy this episode of Kisma and the Dark Yogi.
All right, welcome to this episode of Kisma and the Dark Yogi. I am here with the great and powerful Kisma to talk about perception. Kisma, kick us off with a little wisdom about perception.
Perception, wow. Well, so happy to be here. Welcome, everyone. You know, I remember the day, it was one of our trips to India to visit the Vedanta Academy and Swami Parthasarathy, the amazing guru that he is. And he was teaching his very basics, like the most 101 Vedanta, which is life is made up of a series of experiences. And the quality of those experiences will determine the quality of your life. And then he went on to say, our perception can change those experiences. And I was like, what? You know, it was such a basic teaching, but it really, nearly knocked me over. Because it was, I think, the first time I realized I actually had control of my life, and I was the architect, as all of you are the architect of your lives.
Yeah, it's such a powerful teaching, and it speaks to that, like the experience, right? As I understand it, is when you, the subject, meets the world, right? Which is the object, and so the two of those meet, and it's like a chemical reaction that happens, and you have an experience, and then that just unfolds moment to moment to moment to moment, like a stream, right? And the one thing that we've done amazingly is to improve the world. Yes. And try to improve everything outside of ourselves. But the one piece that I think really gets left behind, and the reason that we have the level of stress and anxiety and chaos in the world that we do today, is because the human element has not been addressed, the internal, the receiving end of that, the subjective end of that, the perception.
Yeah, we keep improving the smartphone. The iPhone gets more jazzy and snazzy and whatever. But if you look around, there's still a majority of people that are suffering mentally. And this suffering causes exhaustion. So it's no question or no issue why people are exhausted at 3 p.m. It's the mind. The mind is attached to wanting things to be a certain way. And when they are not that way, it's exhausting. Or we want people to be a certain way. Or we see the world a certain way. And Nick, you and I were talking about this earlier, of how we see the world will really reflect what is in us.
Always.
So if we are coming from, there's not enough, or I'm limited, or I am not empowered, we'll see the world as not enough. We'll see the world as limited. We'll see the world as never giving us power. In other words, we'll see life as happening to us instead of life happening for us.
Right. And it really, I think one of the things that you're speaking to here that's so powerful is stepping into the role of creator.
Oh, yes.
Right, the role of the creator, and it's choosing your perception that allows you to step into the role of creator. So I think a couple different things here. And first is you can be flexible in that. So I think it's really, you can look at things from multiple perspectives, and I think a lot of times people are very limited in their view. You know, it's
Right.
like this way or that way. It's like right or wrong, or it's good or bad.
Right.
And
Take
it's,
those words out already. Right, wrong, good, bad. Let them go.
yeah, just gone, done. But it becomes such a limiting kind of perspective in that
Totally.
way. And then also is choosing what is most productive. And that's not always, I think, choosing the perspective that you like the most. I think it's choosing the one that is most productive.
Or just like freaking opening the top of the box. Like, so let's face it, the world demonstrates a box to us. The world demonstrates that we are living in this container and everything should be a certain way and everything looks a certain way and you got to think a certain way. This is what is being shown to us. This is what is being taught to our children, sadly. And hopefully there's enough evolved parents out there that are counteracting that. So when we can come from, we are limitless, we are infinite awareness, the world then provides us that back to us. Does that make sense? So if we're coming from not enough, I'm stuck, you know, this is happening to me as a victim, the world will bring that. But if we really step into the perception and understanding of our true organic divine nature, I'm limitless, I'm infinite awareness, I'm omni-love, guess what? The world is going to shine that right back to you.
Well, it
Are you
really
shocked?
does. I'm. It's just
The
such a
dark yogi is speechless.
speechless. No, it's such a great way to put it, though. It really is. It puts the onus back on you.
But it's exciting, right? Because so some people think, well, this is scary. What do you mean I'm going to create my reality? That's freaking exciting. You have the power to create your reality.
Well, what I was going to say is it puts the onus on you to shine out and give
Yes.
what it is that you would like to receive.
Exactly.
Right? In such a powerful way. And what do you think also that the world needs most of?
Yes.
Right? Does the world need more judgment and criticism?
No.
Probably not.
No.
I think we're good in that
Yeah,
department.
there's plenty
right?
of judgment and criticism.
And as much as I want a new iPhone, which I'm sure will be awesome, is that what the world needs most?
Well, I don't know. iPhones are fine, but it won't make you happy for so this is another Swamiji story. When he was talking about perception, he's like, just look at a cigarette. Many people hate smoking and then they hate on smokers. But then there are humans that find great joy in smoking a cigarette. So the joy or the contentment is not in the cigarette. It's in the perception of that.
Well, it's a full moon tonight, and
Yeah.
it always brings me back to that beautiful analogy.
Oh,
We're talking about Swamiji today.
I know.
Like, oh man, I just get so lit up when I think about
Yeah.
him. The light, when you look at the moon, like the moon can light up the whole sky, and it can even, it can really light things up on a big full moon night. Like
Nothing like a full moon,
it's
right?
bright
People?
out, right? You look at the moon, and if you're just looking at it, you're thinking like it's so bright. There's so much light, but there's no light in the moon.
There's no light in the moon. Go figure. Like,
Right?
doesn't that blow your mind? Am I the only one? I'm like, what do you mean there's no light in the
no
moon?
light in the
Oh
moon.
yeah, I learned that like in the 4th grade, but it's so beautiful.
Like nobody, every person logically, and I think this really speaks to a lot of the perception of it too, is like logically everybody knows that.
Everybody
Like,
knows
of
it.
course there's no light in the moon, you idiot, right? There's no light in the moon. But they don't stop to think that, well, that's no different than you. Right? It's no different than
The
you.
light in you reflecting right back at you.
It's just a reflection, and like it's all just a reflection of what's already there.
So this is the thing, right, everyone? So if you present yourself, if you step into the world with that abundance, with love, with empowerment, like that inner stance of total empowerment, the world is going to give that back to you. It can't help it. Like this is a universal law of truth. It can't not. And anytime we feel funky, anytime we feel wonky, all you have to do is look at your thoughts. What are you thinking? Because I guarantee you're thinking something that is more downward draft, more limiting, more in the box than upward draft, the potentiality, the awesomeness. Here comes the train of truth. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
As always.
As always. So, I love that train. I love that train. So think about that. What you're showing to the world will come right back to you.
Every single time.
Every single time.
Every single time.
And here's another one that we can bring up in terms of perception before we close: failure. Oh, like we have talk about a word that is cloaked in this shame and guilt. And, when you say failure, you can probably feel your energy field kind of constricting and shrinking. But here's the deal. It's really difficult to get good at something if you don't fail at it first.
I would argue that it's an absolutely essential component of success.
I mean, when I was playing the flute a lot, do you know how many times I would practice this like difficult lick or difficult run? And my mind, I was failing. I was skipping a note. It was too fast. It was uneven. But practice, and all of a sudden I nailed it. Look at any great athlete. How many practice sessions does a great tennis player have? How many swings does a great golfer go through until they just get that sweet spot?
All right, let me back you up there.
What?
That's awesome, but I want to know what happened in your head. How did it feel for you when every time you're trying to play the passage or the lick or whatever, and it every time
And
it
it
was
sucked?
and it was sucked, and every time it was a failure. I know what it felt like for me. I'm really curious what it was
so
like
this
for
is
you.
the thing. If anybody's a musician out there, or you have some sort of performance thing going on in your life, like it's hard because there is that identity of I am how I play. So I didn't necessarily have these tools back then. So I would be very frustrated, and then I would practice until I nailed it so that I could feel really good about myself.
Did you? Okay, so it's just so that you could feel good about yourself.
So I could really like play a great concert.
Okay.
Totally.
Yeah. But if you didn't play a good concert, then all of a sudden you were not a good person.
Well, then people would boo, and I'd feel really horrible.
Did anybody ever boo?
Nobody ever booed, but that's the underlying fear. Okay, why are we transitioning into a topic of the fear of what people think? Can we do that next week?
No, yes, we could do that some other time. No, I was really curious.
The perception, right?
For me, it was like I would get frustrated, right?
Yeah.
When every time I perceived it as a failure. And I can't tell you how many times I played lick, like the Petrushka, my God, like
Stravinsky.
Again and again and again. And every time it was never quite perfect. Like it wasn't exactly the way that I wanted it to be. And it gets so heavy.
That's the perception, right? Everyone. So you can hear, like Nick and I have both come from classical musician backgrounds, and our perception of failure back then was more about identity, like I'm not a good musician, rather than what's the next thing I can do to just freaking nail this.
Yeah. Well, whereas now, interesting contrast, is now I'm learning how to surf.
Oh, yeah. And you're happy to fall.
I'm happy to fall, yeah. And I'm really recognizing that, like quote unquote failure is a part of this. Like you're going to fall down.
Right.
And what's really interesting about this is the physical danger is actually quite...
Much worse than playing the trumpet.
Way worse than playing the trumpet, right? So, but I'm able to learn faster.
But you don't have an audience when you're, like, no one's out there clapping or booing at you.
That's true, yeah. The surfers are pretty chill about all that. But at the end of the day, I'm having a lot more fun doing it and recognizing every step of the way that, like there's going to be days. Every day you go out in the ocean, it's different, right? And there's days that are easier and there are days that are more challenging. And you do the best that you can with what you've got, but that's to me where clear perception becomes absolutely.
Because if you have a chill day, you might be like, awesome, man, I got to like sit on my board and kind of chill out and contemplate. And if you had a rough day, you're like, all right, I really built some muscles. I got that myelin sheath going for surfing. And the next day I'm going to be a ninja. Like it's all the perception.
It really is all the perception of it. And this is so important. And I think as a practice to refine your perception to be more and more and more objective.
That's the key, everyone. Right. Objectivity.
So that's why, a lot of times we talk about, I think, right and wrong, good and bad, should be this, should be that, should be whatever. And to remove those things entirely from the vocabulary.
Right.
Right. So that you can have clear perception.
Right.
Just see it exactly as it is.
And all the way you do, you just look at like, did that work for me or do I want it to be something else?
Yeah. Well, can you talk about a little bit more about that? Like how do people develop that?
Observation, as Nick said, and without this cloaking of I'm not good enough. Oh, shoot. Oh, crap. I messed that up. Guilt, shame. Just look at it. So it's kind of like, here's an exercise everyone can do before we sign off. At the end of your day, simply take 5 minutes and have a sense of introspection. What went on in your day? And this is really tricky because the key is to notice without judging. So really try this for 10 days and you'll be amazed. Notice everything that you did. I got up, I drank a glass of water, I went to the bathroom, I brushed my teeth, blah, blah, blah. And then when something happens in your day that you're like, that didn't go so well, just observe. Don't judge, just observe. And when you practice this, what happens is after 10 days, 2 weeks, when it's in real time, you'll catch yourself. You'll be like, oh, you'll just intrinsically know, well, perhaps I shouldn't react that way. Perhaps I shouldn't see it that way. So you're building like this internal muscle called the intellect to observe and then be able to see the world as what the yogis call a sakshi, which is a witness, rather than be entangled in it.
Right. And just my 2 cents on that, because it's such a powerful exercise and it's so freaking simple. But if it takes more than like 5 minutes, you're probably getting more entangled with the events than you need to. This is really and truly the purely objective state.
Right.
This happened, that happened, that happened.
Right.
Like, oh, I had an argument with whomever. Okay, that's it. Like, really, that's
just
it.
Notice it.
Great.
Just
okay.
notice it.
Yeah. And you'll see right away what came up in you, what activated in you that caused you to respond in that way. And then that's it. Like, there's no judgment. There's no right or wrong. It's just great. Cut the cords. You're done.
Right.
Introspection is super powerful, I think. What an awesome exercise for that.
So let's leave you with this, everyone. Position yourself as seeing your world like a movie, not entangled in it, but as you're noticing. And elevate your perception. What's your perception? What are you giving out to the world? Because what you give to the world is going to give back to you.
That's awesome.
Love it.
Love it. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here today. A little kiss from the Kisma. If you know of somebody that you think would really enjoy this podcast, please go ahead and share it. You can find us on iTunes. Please give us a rate and review. We'd really appreciate that.
Oh, email me, kisma@sourcemovement.com.
Just drop us an email anytime and let us know if you've got a thought, if you've got a question, if we said something you're like, whoa, I got a question about that. Drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. info@sourcemovement.com if you want Kisma. Kisma@sourcemovement.com, the great and powerful Kisma.
313-401-9623.
I'm totally... That's the deal, everybody. Have an awesome day. Namaste.
Love you.